Hey everybody, welcome back. Craig Schaub here with George Thomas, our film critic from the Akron Beacon Journal. If George were here, we are talking movies, streaming, a variety of pop culture items. But today's sort of a special day. We are talking movies, and more specifically, maybe one of the most anticipated spring releases, Sinners, the latest from Ryan Coogler, of course, of Creed, Black Panther fame, Michael B. Jordan, of course, of Creed and Black Panther fame, among other movies. George, this is a big one. I'm excited to hear what your take is on this. And I'm starting to know now why Ryan Coogler was making some IP films over the last several years with Creed and Black Panther. It's probably so he can make this movie with Sinners at Warner Brothers. Am I right?
That's how good directors do it. And, you know, he was compiling cred, probably compiling a little crash, and making a movie he wanted to make. And, for a little context here, this is the easiest review I've written in a while.
Okay.
I just finished and filed this 30 minutes ago. And quite simply, it's Ryan Coogler's masterpiece. It really is.
High praise given that Black Panther was nominated for Best Picture, and the Creed franchise. I don't think he directed Creed 3, right? He only directed the first two.
He directed one.
Oh, just the first one. Okay.
Yeah.
Which was very well received as well, though.
Yeah. But, it is a movie that deals with a lot of heavy topics, but at its essence, it's a story, a blues-infused story. Great soundtrack. Great score. A blues-infused movie about America's roots, all of America's roots, in short order. It's about everything. He deals with racism, but, there are some things he lures you into that... Let's go to the plot first, okay? I'm getting ahead of myself because I like the movie that much. It tells the story of an aspiring bluesman. His name is Sammy Moore, probably young 20s, and it's 1932, Clarksdale, Mississippi. We know what's happening at that
time.
Right. Sammy wants to get the hell out of Mississippi into Chicago, like his older cousins did. Thing is, his older cousins, played by Smoke and Stack, played by Michael B. Jordan, playing twin brothers, come back to Mississippi to open their own blues club, illegal blues club, known as a juke joint, right?
Right.
And you gotta love the reasoning for them coming back, because they've been up north dealing with Al Capone, fighting in wars, all this stuff, and they came back to Mississippi. And when Sammy asked them why they came back, they said, "Well, it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't," in dealing with those folks up north. So that's the setup. They come back. They build their contingency of friends, acquaintances, and malcontents. They open this juke joint. Now, in a different thread of the film, we meet Remick. And that name's gotta be a tribute to Dracula's henchman, Renfield, but I digress. He's being chased by Choctaw natives, and he lands at the door of a couple, and thinking he's in trouble, they invite him in. Well, Remick isn't, and the Choctaw warned the couple. Remick isn't what he seems. That doesn't stop them from inviting him in short order. Turns out to be a vampire. He turns them. And quite frankly, that couple got what they deserved, considering their bigotry. And the
Sure.
white hood on his couch when they walked into the husband's living room. But that trio eventually hears the glorious music coming from the open juke joint. They're drawn to Sammy's guitar playing. They're drawn to the beats. They're drawn to everything. There's a kindredness there. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're all vampires. They also want to kill these people, basically possess their memories, and they want Sammy's music. And that's the launching point. At its basic level, it's a vampire horror movie, but it's so much smarter than that. You know my general disdain for horror.
Right.
And I was sucked into this thing the way Coogler obviously wanted it done. You live in Tennessee now. I don't know what Tennessee is like per se. I haven't spent a lot of time. How does an upper scale Tennessee restaurant serve their meal?
Well, good question. I don't know. I don't know restaurants.
When I covered a Buckeyes national championship game at the Sugar Bowl, a buddy came down and joined me. We marveled at how slow the pace was for dinner service. And I learned that was intentional because they're building to something. And sure enough, as I watched this movie and I reflected on that meal. And that particular meal ended up being one of the best steaks I had in my life. They built to something. Coogler uses the same, and I thought of that because it's Bluesfield and it's in Mississippi. That same pacing. He's building to something. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's the eventual showdown between the vampires and who's left for them to kill. But there are also a couple of show-stopping scenes. Like I mentioned that the vampire wants Sammy's music, right?
Yeah.
There's a narrative part of the film where it's mentioned that the music of black ancestors played by the right person can be open to the past, present, and future by the right person, right?
Right.
There's a scene where Coogler takes that and he shows it on film. He deals with all of the African American black influences in music since the arrival of Africans from West Africa. Conversely, in another scene, where a lot of patrons of the juke joint have been turned and they're out with that trio of vampires. They're instrument playing vampires. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Got a banjo, got a fiddle, and something else. And like I said, the lead vampire is Irish. I don't know if you can tell where I'm going here, but the turn people are out there. This trio kicks up the Irish ditties. That crowd of African-American vampires adds their influence, and what do you get? You get rock and roll. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a melding and celebration of cultures. And it's so smart in the way he does it. Another thing, it'd be easy because those vampires are white to basically say this is a message, an easy, low-hanging fruit message about whiteness in America.
Right.
On a superficial level, maybe. You could have left it at that. He delves deeper. And he gets to the heart of everything that divides us in the key scene between Sammy and that lead vampire. As that vampire is trying to have his way and get what he wants. It's just a brilliant, intelligent piece of work picked up by an unbelievable slate of music, including some traditional blues, some hip-hop, some rap, some funk, and a score by Ludwig Göransson, who is a frequent frequent collaborator. I think he's done all of Ryan Coogler's films, and he's going to get another Oscar nomination. Michael B. Jordan should get an Oscar nomination. Delroy Lindo is back on screen, dude.
Love Delroy Lindo. Yeah.
Delroy Lindo is back in space. And this is my second A- film of the year, behind Black Bag.
Yeah.
And it's 2 hours and 17 minutes. It does that slow burn, and it doesn't feel like 2 hours and 17 minutes, and it pays off in the end. I absolutely love it. It's visually sumptuous, narratively relevant.
Well, I was curious. Miles Catton, the young actor, his first credit, and he's in a Ryan Coogler film, and it seems like he's kind of leading the way based on what you're saying. Obviously, Michael B. Jordan's there, but talk about this young kid getting a chance to show his stuff.
Flex his voice, show his stuff. He's got chops, he's got skills. And the second to last line of my review is, let's see. Here's a prediction. It's Caton as Sammy. He has a memorable screen on whatever, or memorable career on whatever screen he chooses to work on. He's that good. Charismatic, intelligent, empathetic. Just a great. And I haven't looked at his profile on IMDb, but I think it's his debut film.
It is his only acting credit.
And it's absolutely fantastic.
Well, and Coogler for, you see a lot of people take chances on first-time actors, actresses. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But clearly Coogler saw something in this young man and wanted him to film. And it's just a testament, I think, to Coogler that
he recognizes talent.
Yeah, that he's made the big blockbusters, but this guy, at his heart, he's also a great filmmaker. I mean, Fruitvale Station really burst him onto the scene along with Michael B. Jordan, so another collaboration between those two. And, it just sounds like this is really elevated filmmaking in a time of the year you don't usually see elevated filmmaking.
It elevates the horror genre. I mean, normally you can predict a payoff in the horror genre. You really can. And normally that payoff isn't satisfying. This one is emotionally resonant and satisfying. It's intelligent. It's satisfying. My initial thought walking out of the theater is, what the hell did I just see? And wow.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Well, and you said A- for this film as well. So it's good to see something that can be entertaining. Now, I don't know what the box office is going to be. I know this is a movie that Warner Brothers probably needs to make a couple $100 million or close to it to turn a profit. It may or may not be at that point. I don't know. But it's good to see the originality of filmmaking. And I know Warner Brothers has sort of taken it on the chin a little bit in the box office lately. But it's good to see them, for now, sticking to their guns of making movies instead of just IP. Obviously, Mickey 17 was a daring challenge, and it didn't necessarily work out financially, but Warner Brothers has an interesting slate this year. Obviously, they've got some of the big projects like Superman, but then they also have one battle after another with Paul Thomas Anderson. It's just good to see that a studio is trying to take chances, even if they are probably going to stop taking chances after this year.
You think that's going to happen?
Well, if they don't make any money, it will.
I'll put it to you this way. Given the start to the year, after seeing them release this, I forgive them. It's only tracking for 45 to 50 million. No. If it blows the doors off that, it's going to be due to word of mouth. Right. And it deserves the word of mouth. So, go see it. It's that simple. Go see it.
Yeah. Well, it's a chance for people to get to the theater as well. So why not? It's a interesting release with the weekend. You wonder if that's going to help or hurt the box office, but it's an opportunity to have people off on Friday and maybe off over the weekend to maybe try to see something. So it's an option out there. If you're not interested in a week of a Minecraft movie, another Warner Brothers movie, which is very interesting that they doubled up here in a few weeks with two Warner Brothers movies, albeit very different movies, but still, Warner Brothers maybe could have extended the box office for Minecraft, or maybe helped sinners out a little bit with a different release schedule.
Yep. I like I said, they deserve some props for this one. They've taken a risk. I hope it pays off for them because great movie.
Definitely hope it pays off for Coogler, because he's sort of moving into this territory now where you start to loop him in with some of those directors, like a Jordan Peele, that are wholly original and very great filmmakers, and you just want to see those people get their payoff at the box office. So then studios are willing to reinvest in them in the future, so they can make better movies or have no restraints in terms of making the movies they want to make. That's my hope for a movie like this. Is, much like Jordan Peele got with some of his movies, and then he was able to make Nope, for instance, a higher budget, action movie. So we'll see what happens. Good to hear that Standout is maybe going to be a success for Warner Brothers and for Ryan Coogler especially, and maybe it might be a success come Oscar season next year.
You know what? This is going to stick to me till the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, we have a couple of other options here. This time we're going to go. We're going to get more real here. I think we have a couple of documentaries, and we have one documentary and one stage play. But documentary Titanic, the digital resurrection. George, tell us about this one.
I'll confess to always having been fascinated with the story of the Titanic before we start.
Yeah.
Now, imagine my joy on a night when I had insomnia, and I go into my office at 2:30 in the morning, turn on the television, scan the guide, and there's a new Titanic documentary on called Titanic, the Digital Resurrection. And I just get sucked in. It's a 90-minute doc. And what happened was one of the most recent exhibitions went back to the thinking, well, let's call it what it is now, the cemetery on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean with high resolution drones, and captured over 716,000 high resolution photos. It scanned the entire debris bed where Titanic landed. And they were able to create this unbelievable digital replica of what's left there. And piece together, narratively speaking, they have three experts on screen, piecing together and debunking certain things about what happened on board, and proving things that were rumor, and through evidence they see, and just making probably one of the most compelling Titanic documentaries I've ever seen. So,
yeah, with that many high-resolution images, that might make James Cameron blush a little bit with his Titanic in 1997. But I mean, it sounds like interesting. There's always stories that come out of Titanic, which I'm always enamored with, is that they're always able to kind of come at this from a different angle, even though it's there. It's been there for years now, and it's interesting to always see people find different ways to tell this story, or to tell it a different way, or visually in a different way. So it definitely sounds like a fun time, though. Again, like you said, hour and a half documentary, not too bad. And this is on Disney Plus and Hulu, correct?
Disney Plus, Hulu, and I think, does National Geographic have an app? They still have a channel.
Well, I know that a lot of their National Geographic stuff goes to Disney now, so I don't know if they still have their own individual channel or not.
But yeah, it's definitely there, definitely worth a look. Less so with Discovery has a show called The Expedition Files, and their first segment last night, I waited for a week for this because I heard they were doing it. They explored a Titanic conspiracy theory about a fire in one of the coal rooms, and it's like, well, that proved to be anticlimactic. If you're interested, check that out. But like I said, I used to have a coffee table book about the Titanic that I read cover to cover more than a few times, and I don't know why. I have this weird appreciation of the subject matter, but I do.
Okay. Well, another thing that people can check out here, this is sort of going beyond the surface. It's Stranger Things, but it's not Stranger Things. Although it is Stranger Things, The First Shadow. Tell us a little bit about this.
It's another documentary. Now, mind you, you know I like Supernatural. I was a big X-Files fan. The one show I never got into is Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
I got through. How many episodes were the first season? Are you a fan?
I watched a total of like 2 episodes. My wife watched it, and then one day she started watching it again. Maybe I think in anticipation of a new season, and I watched like the first episode or two, but haven't gone back to it. Nothing against it. I just, it just didn't catch my attention.
Yeah, I never latched onto it, and and I know it became a kind of pop culture phenomenon.
Yeah,
and it's coming up on its final season later this year, and the Duffer Brothers, I think that's their name, or is it Duff Brothers? Or am I thinking Duff Beer?
Yep.
Am I thinking Duff Beer on The Simpsons? But the Duffer Brothers, along with one of their lead writers since season 2, came up with a prequel play that was produced in London's West End, going on 2 years ago, and I think it's now playing on Broadway. Basically, the documentary explores the behind-the-scenes production of the play. And, even if you're not a fan of the show per se, like I'm not, as someone, I appreciate musicals.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate live theater. As someone who appreciates the genre, I was fascinated by what they did in this documentary. They take you from auditions through technical stuff, which is the most fascinating stuff for me because it's a very effects-laden show the past couple seasons.
Right.
And seeing them put this all together is kind of a thrill. And then they deal with the bumps on the road through it all. And it's another instance where I started watching mainly to review it. And I just got caught up and I couldn't stop. It's if you're a theater fan, by all means check it out. If you're a Stranger Things fan, by all means see what they're doing with your characters in 1959 as opposed to when the series originally starts.
Sure.
Nice piece of work there too.
Okay. And something you can catch on Netflix as well. I know that next week we have another big spring release, The Accountant 2. What else do you have on the agenda, maybe?
Oh, let's see. I think that's the biggest release of the week. And The Accountant 2, there's really nothing else in that regard film-wise. Streaming calendar. Oh, Carême. A French spy series set during Napoleon Bonaparte's time as first consul of France.
Okay.
And it's in the original French, as they say. And
what's that called?
Carême. And it's an Apple TV Plus series. And that, me, right now, if it says Apple TV Plus, guess what I'm going to do?
Yeah,
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming next week.
All right. Sounds good. As always, appreciate your time. You can follow George on social media. You can read all of his reviews and his streaming column every week at beaconjournal.com. George, as always, we appreciate your time stopping by. Have fun at the movies or at home watching the comfort of your own home. And we will talk to you again next week.
Now, I prefer to be in a theater, but
I know
thank
you do.